Hey, this is Sean from 8-Bit Shinobi, and we have a special guest, Erin, the geek travel agent.
Hi, everyone.
So, how you doing today, Erin?
I'm good. It's a nice day outside. Maybe one of the last ones of the year. So,
Yeah, I know it's been like freezing. Like I've
well,
had to bundle up every
cold
day.
weather and snow is good for my business, though.
Oh, that's yeah, because everyone wants to go down. That's my retirement plan. Or once
I
my business is able to function itself, I'd be like, okay, you run stuff, and I'm going. I'm
I can take
leaving
care of
in
that for you.
January and February.
There are people who live on cruise ships year round. It's not unusual.
So why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself? What got you into traveling?
So, I've been a travel agent since 2005. So, I went to Algonquin for travel and tourism right after high
Mhm.
school and got into the business right away. So, I've been a travel agent for 16 years, almost 17. And I think it really started when I was 16. I had the choice of pay for my driver's license or go to Europe with a school trip. And I was like, I think I'm going to go to Europe. And then I ended up going to Europe for Girl Guides that same year, the summer, after the March break, and then back to Europe again the following year. And I think I ended up going to Europe but 3 or 4 times in a row within like 3 years. Like it was it was a lot in a couple of years, but it was my grad trip and Girl Guide trips. And I've been a member of Girl Guides of Canada my whole life, and that there's a lot of traveling in that if you know where to find it too. And yeah, I've been extremely fortunate, and I've done a lot of Europe, but more later in my career, more Caribbean, and I've been down to Australia as well. So travel was just always something I was really interested in. After high school, I looked at the university brochures and I was like nothing really interested me. But I actually went back to university later. So I also have a degree in international development and globalization, which really informs my, the travel industry as well. The two are can be very connected, especially on the sustainability side of things. So it's sort of a two-part, travel, geek, sustainability sort of are my passions. But I also I've been married for 11 years and have a 6-month-old daughter. So
I
life got a little crazy during the pandemic baby.
I know we have a 10-month-old, and
Oh
she
yeah,
is
so you're just a few months ahead of me.
yeah.
So, but no,
She
she's
like
she's amazing.
she figured out how to call the dog.
Oh really? Oh,
Yeah,
so
she goes she taps her leg, and then she says Mimi.
oh, so my in-laws live across the street and they have a puppy. So my daughter and the puppy are like literally growing up together. So it's kind of amazing to see.
Yeah, I remember when my eldest was born, the dog would just sleep right next to her.
Yep, that's happening at my in-laws' house for sure.
Like they're so protective. It's just
Mhm.
like I honestly have this belief, whatever people think. I believe that dogs and cats and animals are special spirits
Oh,
that
100%.
come to guide us.
Yeah.
And like I feel like because they teach us like how important life is. Like
They understand way more than you think they do, even though they don't talk
yeah.
back.
Oh yeah. Like my dog like can communicate like very bright, like
Oh, 100%.
what
Yeah.
she wants.
Yeah. My dogs that I had as a kid were the exact same way.
So, uh, how long have you been in your own business?
So
The
I started in 2014.
Mhm.
So I was with travel agencies prior to that, and then decided that it was time to sort of do my own thing. So I'm an affiliate of TPI, which is Travel
Mhm.
Professionals International. There's 900 of us across the country, and we all sort of work from home and have our own businesses and our own clientele, and we all brand ourselves a little bit differently. So that's how I sort of became the Geek Travel Agent, which is sort of a new thing for me, but it was a long time coming.
Mhm.
I'm actually just working on my new logo and business cards and everything now. So it'll be all ready and set up at Comic Con like
Oh,
in 2
that's
weeks.
yeah,
So
I know the feeling. We're getting ready for Comic-Con, and I was there with you at the
mhm.
last
At
Fanatic Con.
Fanaticon, yeah.
And I just want to say you're very professional. You have
Thank
all
you.
the little booklets and everything. I've been to many travel agents. I haven't seen like nearly half the detail and all.
I'm very lucky that the industry partners that I have, first of all, most of them are like, oh yeah, like wedding destination specialist or group specialist, stuff like that. Then they saw like pop culture travel specialist, like that's different, and so they've been really really supportive. They have these brochures for TV shows and movie maps and things like that, just sitting in their offices that nobody was interested in, and so they've been sending them to me so that I can share them with the people at the conventions, because this stuff exists. The tourism boards have produced this stuff, like Tourism Ireland and New Zealand. Like it's all there for people to discover, but they just don't know about it. So that's where I am here to, let the geek community know, let the convention community know that this is a way that they can travel, or even just add like a tiny little piece into their bigger trip. So, and the tourist boards and different companies that I work with have been incredible. So I'm very, very lucky. And my company and TPI as well, they've been very, very helpful and encouraging. And it's like, I'm not just another destination wedding specialist, which
Mhm.
is a very important niche. But I'm
Yeah.
glad, I've got something unique.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I remember seeing that. I'm like, "Oh my god, this is my this is like a sign." Because I'm like, I've been like wanting to go to Japan forever. Like as a kid, I
Mhm.
dressed up like a ninja. I
Mhm.
watched all the movies.
Yep. You can go to Edo World. You can dress up like a ninja and walk around this world. It's set in like,
Yeah,
period
it's
Japan.
I know that sounds oh, there's so much cool things like
100%. I think one of the reasons why I wanted to become a pop culture travel specialist is because uh, the people who know this stuff, people who are really into the fandoms and into the different TV shows and everything, and comic books, they want to talk to someone who also knows that stuff. They don't want to go into a travel agency and feel like they're being judged for wanting to go to a specific castle because it was in a specific episode of a specific anime. Like I
Mhm.
get it, and I want to make sure that people know that even if I don't know their thing,
Mhm.
I will make sure that I do the research and make sure they have the best experience that they can. And so to make sure that they know that there's no, I know the difference between the North and the Shire, and and, and making sure that the client feels comfortable, and knowing that I'm in this community too. I'd be going to Fanaticon anyway. I go to Comic Con anyway. Like I'm not just a travel agent who's like plopped myself into this. Like this is what I was already passionate about to begin with. And I've have clients who I've been able to send to those places already, and those are the trips that excite me the most. It's like, oh, you want to go see like a Game of Thrones thing? Yes, I'll take you. Like, so that's those are the trips I loved working on the most, and that's where I was like, okay, like you have to mix like your passion, your skills together, and it's like that's how this all happened.
And what I like about travel agents, in my experience, is when you do it, you do it yourself. You're on your own. If something goes wrong, you're
Yeah.
like SOL. Like I remember we booked something by ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
and my wife got sick, and they're like, "Yeah, we're not giving you your money back." And
Oh
yeah, you guys
no.
should have booked it with us. We would have taken care of it.
Yeah.
That's why you should always go with a travel agent.
And
They
always get travel insurance. Always, always,
yes.
always. Like, and you know what? Us, a lot of travel agents, we're not competitors with each other. We have our own clients, and even if someone doesn't book their trip through me, if I know that you've booked your trip through a travel agent, period, that's amazing. Like if you've got a travel agent that you love, stay with them, be loyal to them. I'm not trying to steal anybody's business, and other travel agents aren't trying to steal my business either. So just so people know that we're each our own thing, and you want to make sure that you're working with a travel agent that's right for you. And for people who've never worked with a travel agent before, I just want to encourage them, like especially now, especially after what we've just been through the past 2 years, you really need to consider working with a travel agent because you don't know what you don't know. Whereas any travel agent has the resources that the public doesn't have access to find out information faster and easier. And we do this all day, every day. This is our job. So put your faith and your trust and your money, into a local travel agent. And all travel agencies are generally locally owned. A lot are women owned. So if you really want to support local, even though you're traveling to another country, book with a local travel agency.
So, why don't you tell some of our guests out there some tips when traveling and when booking trips?
Mm-hmm. So one thing I always like to tell my clients is that flights come out 331 days in advance. So if you really know where you want to go and you can plan, and like you've got the freedom to plan when you want to go, you book your flights almost a year in advance, and just get that settled, get that part out of the way, and then you can deal with all the other details afterward. And like I said, always book travel insurance. And even though you might be covered with a little bit through work or whatever, it almost never includes cancellation insurance. So my number one thing is, like, even if you book, nothing else through a travel agent, just make sure they have a look over what you have and book travel insurance, because that's insane that people don't, because of like anything could happen. And just like try and really, not fit in with the locals, but if you try and get off the beaten path a little, don't worry about, getting lost in Venice. Like, that's part of the experience. But you have to also keep your wits about you. Make sure you know where your wallet is. Make sure you know where your purse is. Things like that. People sort of get really comfortable, especially after a couple of drinks in a pub. Like, you just want to make sure those basic safety things that people, you want to, forget sometimes because you're on vacation. You just have to keep that in mind, especially depending on where you travel. If you're a nervous traveler, I would say to stay in English-speaking countries. And I don't mean that to sort of like pigeonhole people or to have them not expand their horizons, but that certain type of person likes to have that safety net, especially for someone with like severe allergies, for example. You want to make sure that there's no communication error in language. So either to have everything written out, checked over by a translator and not Google Translate, to make sure that whatever your concern is, that can be communicated to everybody in the destination where you are. And if you are more nervous about that kind of thing, being in an English-speaking country, there's still a lot of diversity in the dozens and dozens of English-speaking countries around the world. That might be a good option for some people. But communicating that with a travel agent and having those conversations, that's where I can help fit the person, or fit the trip to the person, and make sure that it's the right match and the right suppliers, and all their concerns are taken care of. Especially high needs travelers. The high needs travelers should absolutely be booking through a travel agent. There's way too many boxes to tick that need to be taken care of.
So, what's your favorite destination? Do you have
one? I knew you were going to ask that. Asking a travel agent their favorite place is like asking a parent who their favorite child is. And I'm really glad I only have one kid. Like, that would be a very hard question. So Scotland is like a second home to me. Like, I love Scotland. We've got very close family friends there, so I've been a few times. But I lived in England for 6 months, and like Scotland and England, there's like a little bit of tension there. But I loved Switzerland, and Switzerland is not a geeky destination, but it does have like a Sound of Music connection. But I loved Switzerland. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's safe. There's really good food, like the chocolate and the cheese. I do love Switzerland, but I also love Jamaica, which is like completely opposite of Switzerland, and Australia. I did not want to come home from Australia. Like, we were there for a friend's wedding for 2 weeks, and I was just like, this place is amazing. There's only 5 Starbucks in all of Australia, or there were at the time when I was there, because they have like their own coffee culture that Starbucks hasn't really like thrived there. And it might be different now, because obviously things change, but like, yeah, I couldn't believe that when I heard it. It's like only 5 Starbucks in a country as big as Australia. So, but the food was amazing. Again, scenery is a big thing for me. I love, that the landscapes, and and of course the people in Australia are awesome. Like we just had a good time. So
Yeah, I've
I don't
I've run into some people and they're like really friendly.
they are. I mean, so I just named like what 6 countries, so I can't like I'm not having any more kids. Like just like I can't decide. Like one's enough.
Well, my daughter's already figured that out when we say which one of us is your favorite. She's like, I love mommy and daddy. I'm like, that kid is smarter than
She's
you
smart.
think.
She knows. So yeah, no, I can't think. And of course, obviously, like there's places I have not been to yet. New Zealand and Japan are, and also South Korea are like so high on my list. Like those are 3 countries that I need to get to within the next 10 years.
Yeah, I know I really want to go to Trinidad because
Yes.
that's where my dad's side's
My
from.
old boss is from Trinidad.
So they are just the friendliest people that
Yes,
you've
they're
ever
amazing
met.
people.
And
Yeah.
my other half is from Portugal, and
Oh, very
my
cool.
cousin came down,
Yeah.
and I took him out drinking, and he's like, I have to go back the next day, and I don't want to bring my passport. And he was like, he looked like he was 30, and he looked like it, and they didn't want to let him in. I'm like, the guy doesn't look underage. Come on.
I know it's not
Because
fair.
then I got to that point where they don't ID me no more, and I'm like, you're making me feel old. Come on, take the card.
Well, the
Look
first one was when I was like over 30 and got ID'd, I was like, yes.
at
It's like, thank you for IDing me.
Yeah, especially with my genetics. I look younger than I do, so I grow a beard, but
Yeah.
I get gray really fast. Like I had gray since I was a kid, and then it started growing more and more and more.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and same here. Like, it's only in the past few years where I started to look my age, but like right up until I was like probably 32, 33, people were like, "Are you like what 25?" I'm like, "No, but thanks." So people like when I tell people I've been in the industry for 16 years, they don't believe me. So, so I wear a blazer, try to look professional, but it's okay. Having the kids is aging us, right?
They just suck the life right out of it.
Oh well, that's okay. The kids are portable. I'm gonna take her with me.
Well, like my best friend, which my daughter calls Uncle Tom, he says, "At least you have someone to avenge you."
Yes.
That's why we have kids.
Perfect. Hadn't thought of that one before.
So, if you could go to any fictional planet or realm to travel for 2 weeks, where would it be and why?
Fictional. See, I like historical fiction, so a lot of the places and like that I want to go are like here on Earth, but different time periods. I'm trying to think of like, I mean, I totally go to Endor and hang out with the Ewoks. Like,
Yeah.
like there's my Endor poster.
Yeah, yeah. I
um,
don't know why people have a problem with the Ewoks.
I
I'm
love
like,
the
they were
Ewoks. I would really hang
awesome.
out with the
They were
Ewoks.
cute. They were cute, furry, and badass.
I have no problem with them. They have cool tree houses. They look like they could put on a good party. Like, yeah, no, I would totally go to Endor and hang out with the Ewoks, which is in Northern California, by the way, is where that was filmed.
Oh,
But
nice.
I feel like Endor. I also grew up on Star Trek: The Next Generation, and no like particular planet sticks out in my like. I don't think I'd go to Vulcan. Like, it doesn't seem my pace. But I definitely feel like I'd want to travel on the Enterprise and hang out like in the botanical gardens with Keiko, or like in 10 Forward, or wherever Will Wheaton is at my age now. Like, so, but yeah, I feel like I'd even go back to like the period that Jane Austen wrote in and go to Bath and go to like a ball. Like Bridgerton is huge right now, and like that sort of era of like British history, I would like love to be there, but with like antibiotics. Same with like the medieval period. Like I'd love to go, but like not get sick. Stuff like that. Like even like ancient Japan. But we'd want to be rich though, because not a poor person. Like,
Yeah.
there's definitely like want to be careful like when and how you go. But yeah, like put me in the TARDIS anytime. Like it's like I said, my TARDIS is like right up there. So, but yeah, no, I've thought of that question a lot.
So, what are some of your most popular destinations that your clients usually pick out?
So Japan is very big. I was actually really surprised at Fanatic Con. Most of the inquiries I got were about Japan. And the other place is Ireland. And Ireland I have been to and absolutely love it. And I mean, look at my first name. So, and my maiden name is Mulholland, and I was an Irish dancer. So Ireland has a little special place in my heart. And of course, that's where a lot of Game of Thrones was filmed. So Ireland, and also a lot of other stuff like Dairy Girls. Ireland has a whole list like on their own website of like all the shows that have been filmed there in the past like 20 years. And it's like a massive list of like Northern Ireland produces a lot more than we think they do for such a small country. So yeah, I haven't been to Northern Ireland, but I've been to the Republic of Ireland. So I need to get up to the north there. But Ireland and Japan seem to be like the two that are really sticking out for a lot of people, and of course Scotland as well, with a certain demographic for Outlander. Which I know is not like Outlander isn't the thing you normally see at like Comic-Con, but like it has a huge fandom and a huge following. It's just not the people who like Outlander sometimes don't cross over with the people who like stuff at the comic conventions. But there are a lot of us that that do cross over.
Yeah, I'm like into everything, like the music that I listen to. There's like pop, dance mix, rap,
Yeah.
rock.
My husband listens to
K-pop.
like Norwegian symphonic metal, and I listen to K-pop. So like,
Oh yeah, I listen to that too. It's just so like everyone will be like, "Oh, you don't even understand what they're talking about." Yeah, but it sounds
it doesn't
good.
matter. I mean, as a dancer, like the lyrics don't matter as much to me. Like it's the beat and the movement and the
What
sound. Like,
do we even listen to the lyrics? You just
I mean, sometimes, but
yeah,
like, but
sometimes.
you don't have to listen to the lyrics to enjoy the music. I mean, even songs in English, do you really know the lyrics, or do you just like the beat? And that's an excuse for branching out and listening to non-English music. So, and music is a big part of like pop culture travel too. Like, and it's not new. Like people go to Abbey Road for the Beatles to take their picture on that Beatles crosswalk, and people go to Graceland who are Elvis fans. So this whole idea of like pop culture travel isn't new by any means, but there's just so much more of it now, which is more exciting.
So, what are some tips that you could give our viewers once they're for boarding a plane to getting where they need to go, like their hotel, and once they've checked there?
Definitely. So if you're taking an overnight flight, or if you're taking any flight that will jet lag, or you're arriving into a country where you don't speak the local language, my number one thing for my clients is book a transfer in advance, so that there's someone at the airport waiting for you with a sign that has your name on it, and you basically get in your prepaid transfer, and they take you right from the airport to your hotel or to your accommodation. And it is an extra cost, but the value of that experience of not having to think when you get off the plane, maybe a 14-hour flight, you're jet lagged, you're in Thailand or Japan, and you don't recognize the characters, you don't speak the language, to have that person take care of you for that first hour that you're in that country is indispensable. They are a resource, right? From you can ask them questions, you can fall asleep and know that person is going to take you to your hotel because they're a professional who's been vetted by my suppliers and by my company, that I've booked them with confidence, knowing that they are a good supplier. You're not just getting in a random taxi. Plus, you've paid for that in Canadian dollars in advance. So that's my number one thing, is for when you're getting off that plane, have a pre-booked transfer. And it might seem like an extravagance, it might seem like a luxury, but it's so worth it. If there's one thing you splurge on, get a transfer that first day in that country and have it pre-booked, so you know when you get off the plane that they're there for you. For getting on the plane, a lot of people like want to get on the plane first and like get their bags in, get their seat in. I'm the type of person, I want to get on the plane last. I want to like hang out in the airport lounge as long as possible. And then, especially now with having to you have to wear masks, in the airport and on the plane. But if I can just have that little bit of extra space, I know that there's going to be a place for my bags up in the the seat above me, because the flight attendants make sure that your bag gets put away properly. So there's no worry about like space or anything like that. So if you're the type of person you want to just hang out in the airport and be last on board, then you're like last on. You're less time in the airplane, which is good for some people. Other people like to get on first, and by all means, settle in, get comfy, get your headphones on, all that kind of thing. One tip I have, this is from a really like a random true story. So I was on a WestJet aircraft one time, and they were doing the safety briefing and everything. And you know how they say, like, pull out the card in the seat back in front of you and follow along with the safety briefing. So I've been on dozens of airplanes. So I was like, yeah, I'll listen. I don't need to follow along with the card. At the end of the safety briefing, they said, for anyone who's holding their card, hold it up. So they held it up above their seat, and they said, you 5 get free drinks. I was like, wait, what? Hold on. Like, everyone's like scrambling for their emergency card. So I was like, you know what? Just pay attention and hold that emergency card, because you never know if you're going to get a free drink.
I have a similar story. I was coming back from BC, and I got to the gate. I'm like, okay, I have 5 hours until my flight. They're like, we changed your flight. It's leaving now-ish.
Wow.
So I had to get through the gate and bolt right there, and they got me on. They're like, yeah, we're putting you're now in first class.
Oh,
so
sweet. I've never been in first class.
And everything. They're like, yeah, it's an international first class that we put you on.
Oh,
You get drinks, real food.
so jealous. I would love. There's airline, a couple of different airlines. Like Emirates is one of them, and their first class is like a suite. Like, you have your own like shower. It turns in like your seat turns into like a whole bed. There's like caviar when you get in there. Like it's my dream to just fly once, like eventually someday, in like a first class cabin on one of those style of aircraft.
Or one day a private jet.
Yeah. Although there are some like first class airport, like, or first class cabins that are nicer than some private jets that I've seen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Emirates and Qatar and Singapore Airlines is supposed to be amazing.
So for let's just say someone wants to book a hotel versus Airbnb, what would you recommend? Because I've heard a few horror stories that the people that run the Airbnb could cancel you at any point.
So as a travel agent, I'm not a fan of Airbnb because it takes away from the travel industry. Hotels have to work so hard to be licensed and registered, and to have a certain standard of cleanliness, to be recognized internationally as a place that is safe to stay and is clean to stay. Airbnbs have nothing like that. There's no regulation at all. So hotels have to jump through all these hoops, and now they're losing business to someone next door with a crappy room. Like, it frustrates me as someone in the tourism industry. I understand the whole, from a consumer standpoint, it's amazing. From an industry standpoint, we're now trying to work with Airbnb. There's now Vrbo, which is, which travel agents can book for their clients, which are like sort of a higher end side to Airbnb, like the mountain cabins and chalets and stuff like that. Vrbo vacation homes rather than Airbnb short-term rentals. So there's a bit of a difference. But I love hotels. They're like, to come into a room that's like perfectly clean, and you can like jump back onto the bed, and you go into the bathroom and look at all the little amenities that are there. I mean, I was a tour director pre-pandemic as well, so I've stayed in a lot of hotels. And there's just something, when you go back to the same one, a few times a year, and the people welcome you home, basically. It's a really nice feeling. And I do, like I said, I do understand the appeal of staying in a house, and I do understand the price. But when you look at the regulation side of it, there's no protection for the consumer. And there's no quality standard for the consumer. I have friends, I love them, and they'll know who I'm talking about when they watch this. They booked an Airbnb in a hillside village in Italy, and description was like, great view. Great view meant it was like up at the top of the hill. So every time they came home from like being out for the day, they'd have to hike up the hill, and it's like, they didn't think of that. nobody told them that, like, oh, by the way, it's like a half an hour hike up the side
Oh,
of the hill.
jeez.
Like, yeah, there's a beautiful view. It's because it's way up there. So, I mean, just something to think of. And I love those girls. They're some of my best friends. But I just sort of laugh internally. I'm like, could have told you. So, but
It's like that old saying goes that you get what you pay for,
you do.
because when you go into a hotel, everything
Mhm.
is taken care of. You don't
Yep.
have to worry about if there's some sort of cancellation or
Mhm.
whatever. They'll
Mhm.
get you into another room or somewhere else.
Exactly. And if people are worried about, they don't want to stay in a cookie cutter hotel that looks the same in every country, they don't have to. They don't have you can stay in small, locally owned properties that are still regulated and still registered with the hotel association. Or stay in a bed and breakfast, stay in a guest house that is, a proper like a property that's still registered with the hotel association, because you're still protected. You're going to get a great level of service. If you want to stay in a smaller property, you're going to meet the locals. It is authentic. So you don't have to stay in a big, McDonald's chain hotel, you know, everywhere in the world. You can find small, authentic places. And that's what your travel agent is for. You know, I drive a sandals wrapped car, and a lot of people know Sandals Resorts, but a lot of people don't know that they're actually Jamaican owned. So people think it's like, oh, it's a big, international hotel chain. Well, it's not. It's a Jamaican owned hotel chain that only has hotels in the Caribbean. So that's something that, like, to keep in mind is, like, if you want a locally owned, hotel for where you're going, talk to your travel agent. They can help you find something that is authentic and is unique and is interesting with character that isn't someone's house, on Airbnb. So that's my, like, pro hotels. And think about, like, there are cities now, numerous cities, banning Airbnbs for various reasons. And everyone's heard the stories on the news. But one of the big ones, especially for Manhattan, was there are, like, tens of thousands of hotel rooms in Manhattan. How many jobs does the hotel industry support in Manhattan? And then all of a sudden, hotels are at half capacity because of Airbnb, and then you're losing. Like, if you want to keep local jobs, use the hotels. So there's a whole lot to it. Obviously, I'm not a fan of Airbnbs, and I do have a vested interest because I do make commission off of selling hotels. So I'll be very upfront with that. But I am a hotel user and a hotel lover. Other than hotels, I stay in my tent. So when I go camping, and that's like, I'm either a tent or a hotel.
Well, it's like I say, when you trust your doctor to give you the best advice. They're a professional, just like your travel agent. Trust your travel agent, because you
Absolutely.
probably know all the best hotels to stay in that fits your guest needs.
And their budget.
Yeah.
And if I don't, I have colleagues that do. And that's the really nice thing about being part of TPI, who I'm with, but just being part of the travel industry, is that everyone wants guests and passengers and travelers to have a good experience. So it's not like I don't want, another travel agent's, client to have a bad experience. I want them to have an amazing experience, because then they'll advocate for people using travel agents. And then we all get better, and we all, succeed in our businesses. So I can go and ask my travel agent colleagues, you know, who've been to more places than I have, or been somewhere different. I can ask them for advice, and it's amazing. And I actually have a colleague who's in Jamaica right now. She's like live streaming from, like, Moon Palace. Like, so it's like I
Nice.
can see the quality of the beach, from her live stream on Facebook. And that's information that's useful.
Yeah, that's what I really like about the geek community, is that everyone supports each other.
Oh, 100%. It's amazing.
I'm pretty sure you know Lance.
Yep.
He had me on his show last night
Oh,
because
nice.
I'm doing I'll show you. I'm doing Castle Grayskull giveaway.
Oh, very cool.
So
Oh, my husband would love that.
the draw is I'll shill for that now since we're near the end.
Yeah.
It's all the money goes to the Ottawa hospital. Like,
Amazing.
as a kid, my dad was ill. He had he worked in in the shop. He owned his
Yep.
own shop, and I guess back then the regulators weren't very good, and he
Mm.
got some of it in his lungs. So he had like holes in his lungs, so he was
Yeah,
in the hospital a lot. So I just think of like all the times we went there and how they took care
absolutely.
of us. I'm like I'm like, they need something, and I do have a platform now. Like I'm not huge, but I have a platform, and I'm
Yep,
like, I want to take a responsibility to give back. So uh so
definitely.
anyone could buy a ticket. I'm keeping it like in the Canada region, so I
Yep.
don't have to ship it, you know.
In Canada only. Yeah, that's
Yeah, but
that's good.
I may make some exceptions to close people that I know. So they can buy a ticket. So anyone that buys it early, 10 for 5, whereas when you get it early,
Yep.
you get 2 times the amount.
Nice.
You get 10, and then 15 for 15, so you get 30, 20 for 25, so you get 50. So
And it's perfect that you're doing it right before Christmas too, because like someone that could be a Christmas present for someone for themselves or for someone that they know, and then the money going to the Ottawa hospital, that's like another Christmas gift. So that's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, plus my wife works there, and she basically all those COVID screening
Yeah.
clinics, she opened them while she was pregnant. She had to
Wow.
work overtime because
Yeah.
she's
She
the
put herself on
core
the line for
yeah,
everyone's
she's the
safety.
coordinator. So
Amazing.
she basically opened everything, and because she's good at her job, she had to do all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's yeah, my dad is a retired nurse, so like with the Ottawa Hospital, so it's it hits close to home for a lot of people in this city. It's and whether
Mm.
you have know someone who worked there or you know someone who's been there or gave birth there, like it's yeah, it's very important that we support them because they've done more than they should have in the past 18 months.
Oh, for sure.
So yeah,
So
I'm
I'll
glad you're
just
doing that.
start sharing your links in the
Yeah, it's
comments.
super easy for people to remember. It's thegeektraveleagent.ca is my website. Thegeektraveleagent@tpi.ca is my email address. And I'm local to Ottawa. And yeah, and then my Facebook page as well, and on Instagram too. So come hang out, come travel with me to Scotland for Outlander in 2023,
Oh, nice.
and we're getting a K-pop tour going as well to hopefully 2024 it'll end up happening. It's been pushed back a few times.
Yeah, well, has COVID impacted your
100%. 100%. So like more than I have time to share, but the travel agents were hit probably the hardest at a personal local level than any other business in yeah, I would say almost like as hard as the restaurant owners, if not harder.
I know the feeling because we basically make all our money at conventions. Like
Mm-hmm.
I can't sell on the internet for crap. Like I
Mm-hmm.
just get all these people that expect everything for free, and I'm
Yeah,
like, you know how much time it takes me to go and find a perfect one of these,
I know.
and I know when they go out of stock, they're they're like they're triple the
The
price,
value
and
goes up.
I kind of fine tune the middle ground. I'm like, well, people are selling for this, I'll sell a bit, and it's still not enough. And I'm like, that's why when I go to conventions,
Mm-hmm.
you actually have people that know the value.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
like
which is
just like
amazing.
I said with travel agents, there's a value there. It's unlike if you buy it from some store or off of
You
Amazon, you
you
don't know
but
what you're getting.
you can buy online. A lot of people book their own travel online, and all the more power to them. But when something goes wrong, you're on your own. Whereas I'm the one who will sit on hold and go to bat for you if you book through a travel agent. Your travel agent is there to protect you and to help you, and just to be that ear that you need and to be that piece of
Mhm.
advice. So
Yeah, I remember
um,
my first trip. It was just like it was amazing. Like everything. Like it got there, my ride was all set up. Got to my hotel. We
good travel
yeah,
agent is gold. Don't let go of your good travel agent.
yeah.
So But no, I
Well,
really appreciate you doing this.
yeah,
And
no problem. Yeah, like I said, I have a platform and I support the community back because I know
absolutely.
people did that for me. And anyone who's coming to Fanatic Con can win one of these, the next Brockville one.
Nice.
We'll also have other prizes too, like and all you got to do is buy a ticket to the event, show up, come to my table, screenshot it, and post it on my social media, 8-Bit Shinobi on Facebook, and that gets you into the draw. You don't have to buy nothing, just post it, tag me, share it.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will see you at the Comic Con
All
and at
right.
Fanaticon.
I'll see you. I'll see you at the next convention. Have a great day.
Absolutely. All right, you too.
Bye.
Bye.